everybody, it's M-Class Podcast!
Ow!
Yeah! God, we gotta stop opening up the show like this. I'm Jeff.
Hey, I'm Josh!
It's always so high energy right out the gate.
Yeah, but then we all get depressed.
Oh, not this time, baby.
We haven't in a couple of weeks, so we've all been watching good Star Trek!
Yeah. This will be the last one. This episode, we're going to be focusing on Deep Space Nine's pilot as a part of our pilots collection.
We're almost done.
We just got 2 more to go. But,
hey
what?
Sorry. Never mind. I don't want to talk about it right now. It's a secret.
Oh, no. We got a secret right out the gate.
That new show is coming out. I don't want to say when we're recording this, but it's coming out tomorrow.
I feel like they could probably... Our listeners are good detectives. I feel like they could put these clues together.
It could be any tomorrow. Oh, wait.
Just like that Annie song.
The sun will come out tomorrow.
It's always a day away, like they say.
That's right. It's a brilliant line. Poetry.
We're talking about, because we already watched, the Deep Space Nine pilot, Emissary.
One of my favorite pilots for Star Trek.
I was going to front load this. Why don't you talk about your feelings on this episode first, Josh? Give people a little bit of preview of what we're going to be talking about.
I don't know. I feel like this show is the most constructed Star Trek series. Like, they had a clear idea of where they wanted to go with the show, like, and then they like went and did that, as opposed to like TNG, which starts out like hot dog crap, and then they had to like fix it.
Yeah.
And as opposed to Voyager, which starts out like hot dog crap, and then they like never fix it. But this show is
right,
like,
everybody. He's right.
This show is like clearly like they're setting up like long-term story arcs that are like important to the whole show.
That's something I actually wanted to talk about. The first time I watched the Deep Space Nine pilot, I didn't really get into it that much.
Yeah.
Because I just finished watching TNG all the way through.
Right. So you're a little like, how can anything be as good as that?
Yeah. And this pilot just did not do it for me. I feel like this first episode works way better when you know the rest of the series.
Exactly.
And you come back to it.
Exactly. It's like completely meant for you to watch again.
Yeah, which is really
incredible.
It is incredible, but it makes it really difficult to talk about it like from the point of view as somebody who is just going into the series and not knowing anything about it.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, I would assume that this episode of our show is going to be, like, heavy spoilers.
Oh, yeah. If you have not watched this yet, turn this off and go watch it, because we're going to get heavy... Watch the whole series.
Watch the whole series.
Because we're going to get heavy into spoilers. We'll try to tiptoe around them, but not really. We're not going to try at all. So...
We're not into trying around here, so we're not really going to do that.
We're real big into not trying, as a matter of fact.
I just showed up. I'm talking into a tin can on a string right now.
Sounds good. Fuck it. We're not even recording this podcast. We just have 2 tin cans with a string between them. Are we talking into them?
Traversing hundreds of miles of countryside.
Don't move it. If you find the wire, don't cut it or move it.
Don't fuck with it, alright?
It's supposed to be there.
Pittsburgh. I'm talking to you, Pittsburgh.
Fucking Pittsburgh.
Shitsburg.
If you live in Pittsburgh, fucking just kill yourself.
Fuck, dude.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. But get somebody to fix your fucking roads.
That's the whole state, man.
Yeah. Well, West Virginia is way fucking worse.
Yeah. You laughed at me when I told you about Pennsylvania. I remember you scoffed at me.
Did I?
I told you, I was like, yeah, like, the roads here are terrible. And you were like...
Well, yeah, because the roads here look like fucking Mad Max, so...
Yeah, you live in, like, an Afghanistan-like road situation over there.
It's true. Like... There's no point in getting the alignment on your car fixed ever because it just gets bashed out within 2 days.
Yeah, it'll just get fucked up again.
So fuck it.
Don't even... That's West Virginia's state motto. Why even try?
You're in West Virginia. Why even try?
Why are you even trying?
I'd like to say this state used to be good at some point, but nah.
No.
It was good when it first started, when we were like, fuck the South, we're gonna join the Union, suck our dicks.
It was a great idea, right? Like, West Virginia is such a good idea, but why has it gone downhill?
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Speaking of that awesome saying, one of my favorites, which I got from this show.
Really? This is when you first heard it?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I did a lot of dumb shit that was supposed to be good and turned out to be terrible as a kid because I heard it all the time. But this episode was written by Michael Piller and Rick Berman.
Which is, okay.
I mean, this episode's pretty damn good, though. Like, I'm sure Rick Berman didn't have jack shit to do with it. He just wants his name to be attached to the first episodes of everything.
This is when Star Trek was like super firing hard.
Oh yeah, all cylinders, baby.
Yeah, it was full, all hands on deck. Star Trek is like a thing again. Like,
yeah, we were talking about that earlier. We figured out that it was around the end of season 6 of TNG. Is when Deep Space Nine starts. There's an episode of TNG that Bashir is on.
Yeah, I just watched that one the other night.
Yeah, and
when Data dreams.
He tells you straight up, and this is a huge spoiler if you don't know DS9, shut your ear holes. He tells you straight up in the episode of TNG that he is a superhuman, that he's like a genetically modified human being in that episode. And then it's supposed to be a secret for the whole series of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yikes.
There's a part in this episode that makes me think about that, like, when Jadzia is playing that weird ball game in the holodeck, and he like fails at it right away. Like he like Clark Kent's, right?
Yeah.
Like he's Clark Kent's the test, and he fails. But then like they all leave the holodeck. Like Cisco comes in and says like, Dax, I need to suck your titties or whatever the fuck.
Whoa!
And like,
whoa!
and like Bashir is sitting there and he says computer reset, and like I imagine that he just like aces it.
Yeah, because he's faking losing so that he can have sexual relations with her.
Yeah, he wants to be a normie.
He wants to suck the titty.
He does. He's really obnoxious. In this whole series, he's pretty fucking obnoxious.
He gets better.
He does get better, but he's really annoying.
He really is like the spurned wannabe nice guy for most of the series.
Yeah, he gets really aggravating.
It's like they didn't really know what they wanted to do with him to begin with, because he's supposed to be like this bright-eyed young doctor who's way in over his head and doesn't understand the gravity of his situation.
Right.
But they kind of get over that really quickly, and they don't really know what to do with him anymore.
They kind of find things for him to do, which I always think is good. Like, they really, like, all the characters are pretty fleshed out.
Oh, yeah.
But Jadzia probably changes a little bit, like... She kind of stays the same, but, like, I don't know. She doesn't really... She's not so, like, stuck up
later. Get more facets of her personality where she's, like, got, like, a... I don't know how to put it. Like, a bro-ier side to her, I guess.
She can hang, right? Like, later she can totally hang. Like, you would want to hang out with Jadzia, and if she was, like, your girlfriend, you would be able to take her places, because, like... She can hang.
Yeah, she can hang. That's the best way to put it.
She can fucking batleth your ass into the dirt, man, which is pretty sweet.
She's on the short list of people in Star Trek that I'd personally want to hang out with, if it was just me and that person.
I was told, and this is going to be public knowledge now, I was told that she watches Normal Boots stuff.
Really?
Because her kid loves, like, Gerard, the completionist.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't know if that also counts continue. Usually it doesn't.
Aww.
But so it might be. I don't know.
You're probably her favorite.
Probably.
He knows about Star Trek. I was on that.
Star Treks.
I was on that show. That one show.
That one show.
It was directed by David Carson, this episode, which I looked into a little bit. I love to look into the directors of shows so you can get sort of an idea of the type of work they've done in the past.
Yeah.
Again, because he's a TV director, he's all over the fucking place, so I learned nothing.
Right.
With the movie directors, it's like they directed this, this, and this, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, of course, it's very similar.
Right.
With this, it's like David Carson directed the pilot of Deep Space Nine and a few episodes of it, and did a few episodes of TNG, but also did Doogie Howser, MD.
Which is like the Star Trek of Doctor Shows.
Beverly
It kind
Hills
of is.
But no, it isn't. Beverly Hills 90210.
Which is like the Star Trek of teen shows, teen dramas.
Wait a second. He also did One Tree Hill and Smallville.
Was I telling you that we were just talking about
Yes,
One Tree Hill?
you brought up One Tree Hill yesterday.
Yeah, I don't. That's so weird that like One Tree Hill has come up like 3 times in 3 separate days.
It's fucking fate, dude.
It's following me.
It's fate. So I learned nothing about David Carson.
Yeah.
He loves close-ups, is what I learned from this episode. Like, he loves close-ups. Super horny for close-up shots.
I always feel like these are shot much more liberally, like a film.
Yeah,
because they're
pilots
supposed
are
to be
heavy
films.
film-like.
Yeah. So, like, I kind of like... I don't really notice it in Star Trek too much. I don't know. But
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying he loves himself fucking close-ups.
You do notice it, though, like, I notice it more with, like, the 4:3 format.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's, like, you're already looking at, like, a strange box that you're not used to seeing anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just black lines on the sides of your TV.
Yeah.
And there's one shot that is so tight on Kira's face that, like, you see none of her forehead and most of her chin is gone. And I was like, should we really be this close to this character right now?
I fucking love her. And I love, like, her entrance in the show. Like, she is just, like, not fucking having it. And I love that shit.
I love her character in general, but to begin with, it's like, I don't know, through the whole series, it comes back real strong, but, like, she takes no shit from anyone.
Yeah, she'll fuck you up, man. Like, she will fuck you up.
Her own fucking provisional government, who are her direct superiors, they could just send her to some penal colony for this.
Right.
And she's just like, no, fuck you and your provisional government.
You. Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck, dude.
Suck
I love
my
it.
butt.
And, like, they wanted Ro to be her.
Yeah, I don't.
But I'm so
I like
glad.
Ro Laren alright, but
yeah,
like Nana Visitor was made for that role.
Yeah. Yeah, she, I don't know, I really like the world building that this show does right off the bat, and I think that her being a different Bajoran helps that a lot.
Yeah,
because we already know who Ro is, right?
That's something that somebody wrote in about it. I guess we'll get to that in the next show we do after this one.
Yeah.
But this show is really front-loaded with information that, like, you wouldn't really know if you didn't already watch TNG.
Yeah.
And if it would have been Ro Laren, that would have hurt it way more. You'd have to go into her whole story to introduce her.
It's a totally different show. It's a totally different show.
They could have done whatever with her after that, I guess. But, I mean, her story is pretty similar to Kira's up until the point she joined Starfleet.
Yeah, she runs away from Bajor, though, which is, like kind of shitty, right?
It is. That could have actually been fairly interesting, though, once we got to the episodes when we dealt with the Resistance and people who used to be in it, and they all would see her as, like, a traitor. Yeah,
that would have been neat. But I like that, like, you get to see, like, what it was like through Kira, you know, like, Laren would have been, or Ro, I guess, like, what is it?
It's
Ro is her last name,
Ro's her last name, so she goes by Ro.
Ro. So, like, you would have to, like, have her be Starfleet, because she is, which I think makes the show weaker, because, like, you already have the commander who's, like, Starfleet, and to have that dichotomy of, like, the Bajoran national who, like, doesn't give a fuck about Starfleet.
Yeah.
I think is awesome.
It is awesome, and that reminds me of something I wanted to bring up that I always bring up when I talk about Deep Space Nine, is that everybody knows that Star Trek was supposed to be like Wagon Train in space. Like the Western about exploring the unknown countryside and finding new and exciting things, but in space.
Right.
Deep Space Nine is like I don't know, Rawhide in space.
Yes.
It's a frontier town where like Cisco is the mayor,
Yeah.
And Kira is like the Native American attaché.
Right.
And like Odo's the sheriff, Quark's the bartender,
The barkeep,
the frontier doctor.
Yeah.
It all fits perfectly into these little shapes.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the Native American attaché to open up the world of like the Native American world, like to open up, if you didn't have Kira with this deep connection to Bajor, Bajor would just be this entity that's just at the edge, the periphery, that you wouldn't really care about that much.
It would be a weird alien planet. It wouldn't feel like you're there. Like this show's really about Bajor, right? Like it's about Bajor, and they're like the space Jews, really. Like they're like
it's about the space Jews who finally they're trying to pick up the pieces after Space World War II.
After the Space Holocaust,
yeah.
And, like, you need somebody there to be like, look, this is what it was like. And, like, Laren wouldn't have done that. Like, she would have been too, like, well, I was in school. You know?
Yeah, I was on Earth.
Yeah.
Doesn't fucking help us with this story, does it?
Yeah, exactly.
Kira is a super important piece to this show.
Yeah. I love, I don't want to, like, ruin it, but I love her at the end of the series. Like,
oh, yeah.
She's incredible.
She's grown as a character, like, massively by that point. Where she's, like, ready to take control and power of stuff and be able to lead.
She has to go through, like, the trial of, like, what all happens to, like, understand, like, why the Federation is important and understand, like, Bajor's place in the Federation. Like, even Bajor, like, doesn't fully understand, like, what it means, right? Like... And the Federation is just, it seems so like, well, gee golly, that like they're kind of annoying as fuck, you know?
Really? Dude, I'm like on the absolute opposite side where I think the Bajorans are absolutely annoying as holy fuck.
Well, they're annoying too because they're so like, their chip on their shoulder as a people is so big that it's hard to get like, over it.
Like, I hate the term, I feel like only like giant fucking assholes ever use the term sheeple.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll be a giant fucking asshole because they are like so easily swayed throughout this series. Like all it takes is one person to stand up and go, "Hey, that guy's doing a bad thing," and everybody's like, "Fucking kill him!"
Yeah, they're like, it makes sense because they're like lost. Like they don't know like what they are.
They're
right?
like they're basically the angry mob from The Simpsons that happens all the time.
All the time. The finger thing means the taxes.
I just, as a species, I've never been that into Bajorans.
Yeah.
I like Kira a ton, and there are Bajoran characters that I like a ton. But as a species, I don't know. I'm not. I guess I'll come out and be completely fucking candid with you listeners. I'm not the most religious guy in the world.
Right.
And they're a very deeply religious society of people.
They represent like parts of humanity that like I know you and I kind of don't prescribe to.
Yes.
So it's kind of difficult to like relate to them on that level.
Yeah, but you can relate to what they've been through.
Right.
Though.
Like we can historically put in context like their plight, right? Mm-hmm. Like I get it. But I just don't always want to hear about your fucking aliens in the wormhole. Like, shut the hell up about that shit.
Everybody's like, yeah, the aliens in the wormhole, and they're like, you mean the prophets?
Technically, push his glasses up on their ridgy ass nose.
I think you mean the prophets.
You mean the prophets?
How dare you not call them the prophets?
It's like, guys, shut the fuck up. You're never gonna make it in the Federation with this bullshit attitude. Relax.
Just accept that people have a different view than you, Bajorans. You're never gonna make it into Starfleet with that attitude.
Yeah, fuck it.
I feel like this show starts in such a way that if you had not already watched TNG, you would be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
If you just walked into this one as your first one, you'd be like, why is Captain Picard here? Why is he a Borg?
Yeah, you'd come in and be like, what's a Borg?
Yeah, you wouldn't even know what that was.
Who is a Captain Jean-Luc Picard? What is this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, even with a peripheral understanding of Star Trek, if you went into this, you'd be like, what now? What?
Yeah, you gotta. This was made. I mean, I love it though, man. I love
we're
the
like
world building. It's so well done. It's fucking great.
Oh yeah, well, fuck, like as a huge Star Trek fan who'd watched TNG first, and like this episode, if it didn't start like that, wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
Right.
Like this ties
totally
it,
bridges the gap.
Yeah, this ties it so fucking deeply into the Star Trek history. Like,
yeah, it sets the tone for the show too, because you're like, wait a minute, like this guy hates Captain Picard.
And you
like,
understand
that's fucking
why.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I'm sure that was like a behind the scenes thing too, where they were like, what if the new captain hates Picard?
Right, yeah.
And then somebody who was smarter than that first guy was like, well, why don't we just have him hate Locutus, and he hasn't forgiven Picard for it?
Yeah.
I don't like that Picard dude. He's all bald, like I would never be. That's what Cisco said.
Like I would never be until season 4. Yeah. Like I don't know. Like this even like I know like Pillar and what's his name wrote this.
Yeah,
but this
old
has,
Berman.
Like, this has fucking Ronald D. Moore like written all over it.
It's true. Like Ronald D. Moore saw this. He had nothing to do with it, and he was just like, "Oh shit, I know what I'm gonna do now."
What I'm gonna do. Yeah.
And it ties itself into the Borg problem right up front.
Right.
Although that never really becomes a part of it, but it gives
They mention it later. They mention it in oh, maybe they mention it in the movie. Is it the movie? They might mention it, I think, with where they're like, well, the Borg just attacked Earth, because talking about
oh
First
yeah,
Contact.
they mentioned they can't get backup because of what happened with the Borg on Earth.
Yeah, they're still worried about the Borg coming back.
And they do mention that the reason why they made the Defiant was because of the Borg.
Yeah, they have to. It's like the Defiant is like a Federation Klingon bird of prey. That's like all it is.
It's pretty much what it is. It's anti-Borg technology.
They were like, we need little ships that can just fucking shoot the shit out of shit.
Yeah, that aren't giant moving targets through space.
Little fast, fucking crazy, powerful ships.
But like, it like ties it in so well to TNG, but it also gives like a moral core for Sisko's character right up front. Like you feel for him before you even know him because he loses his wife.
Yeah, and he's like got a kid, and the kid like is fishing. It's so wholesome, and you're like, God damn it, Jake Sisko.
It's fucking like Andy Griffith as fuck.
Jake Sisko, the anti-Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, I like Jake.
Jake's great.
Jake gets really annoying when he becomes the reporter Jake for a little while.
Super serious Jake, yeah.
But I like him a lot as a character. But Nog is the best kid character in all Star Trek history.
For real though, like what a great growth. It's great.
He grows the most out of any character in Star Trek history.
Yeah, him and Kira are like up there. Like, I know she's an adult, but like,
yeah, Nog doesn't grow much physically either. So
that dude is tiny, man.
He is tiny, but he's ripped as fuck. For
Aaron Eisenberg.
For his like height, he's got like these huge biceps for his height. Dude. It's really weird.
He looks like he's really into Korn. The band Korn.
What?
He just looks like he's into Korn. I don't know. He looked like, I saw a picture of him recently, and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy loves Korn.
You know, I laughed, but I can kind of see it.
You know what I'm talking about.
If you've ever met a guy who's real into Korn.
Like the big ass sweaters and shit, and the beard and shit. Like,
yeah.
You can like whoever you want. I'm not. That's just a side note.
You look like Aaron Eisenberg if you like Korn, apparently.
He's like 4'2".
Yeah, he's got like some sort of congenital disorder or something.
Yeah, I figured he did.
But I just like that Nog never grows.
Yeah.
Like they show future Nog when he's an adult and he just looks exactly the same. They just put like a little bit of wrinkles on him.
Oh yeah, he's in that episode. Yeah, he's in the Star Trek Online too. He comes back.
Oh, he's Captain Nog?
He's Captain Nog, yeah.
I guess we're fucking spoiling all over the place.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Oh, whoopsies.
There's a Bolian on board the Saratoga.
Yeah, and the captain's Vulcan, and the captain is played by what's his name? The guy who plays
J.G. Hertzler, which was my fun fact of the week.
I knew that.
That's your John Larroquette fun fact of the week. Martok.
How interesting.
Martok's first role in Star Trek was to play the Vulcan captain in Emissary.
Yeah. He's in Enterprise also as a Klingon.
He actually played Laws, the other lost changeling in Deep Space Nine as well.
You can tell. You can always tell when it's him. He has a very unique voice.
Oh yeah,
he's great. I love him.
I love him too. Do you know what he's up to these days?
I think he told me he's running for Congress.
Yeah, he's running for Congress in the state of New York or California.
Oh my god. If I were him, I'd be like, vote for Martok stickers like everywhere, dude.
But he's like running for Congress as Mark Twain, not as himself. Like, he's dressing up as Mark Twain and giving like speeches as him.
Oh my god.
So he's either like a madman or he's just really into performance art.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
They recently had him in Star Trek Online also. And like I'm really into like when they get those people to do stuff for the video game, because they really add a lot to the game.
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
And he's great as usual in the game. I love him.
Oh yeah, that's also a fun fact of the week. I'll give you the full information.
Okay.
On June 18th of this year, J.G. Hertzler announced his candidacy for U.S. House Representative for New York's 23rd Congressional District in the 2018 elections.
Great.
And he's going to be doing it in the persona of Mark Twain because he believes he's a brilliant humorist for all ages. So he's just really into performance art.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a little weird, but okay.
Although he joined a bunch of fellow Trek alumni advocating against the administration of old Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's good.
Included Whoopi Goldberg, Seth MacFarlane, Zachary Quinto, Patrick Stewart, and George Takei.
Seth MacFarlane, better known as Ensign whatever the fuck his name is in Star Trek. Ricky. Dude, he's so terrible in that show. Like, he is awful in that episode.
He's not...
It's like Seth, fucking act.
Just do voice acting. I don't know. I haven't watched The Orville.
Yeah.
But
they were
I got
talking about
mixed
it
results on it.
Yeah, Zane's parents were talking about it tonight, and like they were saying how like it's terrible. I've heard it was good. I've heard it was terrible.
Yeah,
so
I've heard both sides of it, and I feel like it really depends on what you went into it hoping for.
Yeah.
Like if you hoped for a Star Trek-like series with some gags in it, that's mostly what it is, people are telling me. But if you went in hoping for like a Seth MacFarlane comedy, it's nothing like that.
Nothing like that, yeah.
Even though they're advertising it like that.
He's a huge Star Trek fan, which is good. I think if anyone's ever going to save Star Trek from itself, it'll be him.
Oh yeah?
Because he produced the Cosmos, the new Cosmos. Like he produced
did.
That. And that's an incredible fucking show.
It really is. I fucking loved it.
So if he just like executive produces a new Star Trek and is like, look, I'm gonna get like a bunch of people who like really like Star Trek and just make a better Star Trek. I'm all for that shit.
He's such a huge Star Trek fan that he would never let them bastardize it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Which would be nice for once. That'd be really great.
That's the only nice thing I have to say about Seth MacFarlane, I guess. He's an alright guy. I don't really like much of anything he makes, though.
He's lowest common denominator, but like I like him as like a guy.
Yeah,
like,
he seems like a real good guy.
Yeah.
Got a great voice.
Yes.
He's going places, that kid, with his voice.
We should take a break and then we'll come back and talk about the episode.
We'll talk about the episode some more. We've been talking about it, damn it. Alright, bye. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Traveler, welcome to the promenade. Humble quark at your service. Behold, Star Trek Deep Space Nine action figures. Commander Benjamin Sisko, he helps me run the station. And Security Chief Odo, very strict and sneaky for someone so honest. Here's Lieutenant Dax, and Chief O'Brien, and Major Kira Nerys. I happen to know she's crazy about me. Wonderful, aren't they? Especially this one. So handsome. Pains me to part with it, but if you pay me now... security. What a pleasant surprise.
And we're back, ready to talk about some Star Trek.
We're doing it. We talked about it in the break. You missed it. It was really insightful.
I'm really sorry that you missed the only insightful part of the program.
We cut that out for the...
Now we can talk about some titties. Actually, let's talk about Star Trek instead. Benjamin Sisko's wife, Jennifer, gets murderized by the Borg.
Yeah. At Wolf 359.
We jump 3 years later. and we see Andy Griffith and Opie fishing.
Fishing in holodeck pond.
Holodeck. And we learn that Cisco is being promoted to leading Deep Space Nine, which is basically the Boondocks mission that you're sent. You're like, it's the Siberia.
It's the Antarctica.
The Star Trek world.
Yeah. Nobody wants to go there.
Especially Cisco. He wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he's checked out.
We learned that the least important character on TNG is going to be a very important character on this show when Miles O'Brien shows up.
You can tell they want him to be on something in season 5 and 6 of TNG, because there's a couple of episodes where he's super in them.
Oh yeah, there's the episode where his old captain wants to do bombing runs against the Cardassians.
Yeah,
even though
there's
the war's
that
been
one.
over.
There's that one, and then there's the one where those aliens take over their bodies on the planet.
Oh yeah,
that one.
That's a good one too.
He's great in that one.
Cole Meany is a really fucking good actor.
He's great.
You might not know it from watching this episode, since he's kind of hamming it up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
he's all shucksy Irish. Oh, I'm just the Irish guy.
It's just me Irish.
I've got to drink my whiskey now. I'm a leprechaun.
Racism on the show.
It's all right. I got red hair. I'm allowed to.
Probably not even Irish, but he's got red hair. So.
I'm from Philadelphia, so who knows?
Who knows? You're whatever Rocky is. Italian stallion. We meet Kira. We meet all these characters, right? And they're not quite cemented to where they're gonna be yet.
Not yet, but they're pretty close.
They're pretty close. There's a line in this episode that's really strangely slid into it, but because Rene Auberjonois is saying it, who plays Odo, it works somehow. His delivery works. If somebody else would have said it, it would have been super awkward. But he's like, "Major, I'm coming with you because that's from the quadrant where I was found, and I still don't know what I am or if there's anything out there like me. So I'm coming." And if anybody else said it, it would have sounded like I just said it, really dumb.
I thought you were him. I was like, oh my god, is Rene Auberjonois on the show?
Maybe one day.
Rene Auberjonois, who is best known as Odo and the priest from The Patriot.
Oh yeah, he was also the shitty... God. He was on something. He was a butler on something.
Was he Mr. Belvedere?
He was not Mr. Belvedere.
That's a miss.
He's best known as the guy that got cut out of that Star Trek movie. Is what he's best known as.
Was he in Insurrection?
No, he was like
you
in
told
Star
me
Trek 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, or 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
He was in 6. He was Benson. He was Clayton Endicott III on Benson.
There you go.
And that's what he was known for before.
And
Star
Rom,
Trek.
who was Rumpelstiltskin or Pumpkin Man or something like that.
I don't know that one actually.
It's like a shitty 80s horror movie.
Oh wow, Rene Auberjonois was actually Father Mulcahy in the MASH movie.
Yes!
Yeah, we're fucking
holy
fun
shit.
facting all over the place here.
This is the fun fact episode.
How interesting.
Oh, how interesting.
All these actors are known for other things. I just don't know what they're known for.
Terry Farrell, who is Jadzia Dax, is in Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah?
She's the love interest to the kid.
I didn't know
From
that.
Christine, the boy from the haunted car movie Christine.
Isn't that weird that we live in a reality where you can say that sentence?
Yeah.
The guy from the haunted car movie.
Yeah. It's fucking just follow along with me. I know what I'm talking about.
Cisco is a commander at this point, which is really important to point out.
Yeah, I don't like that he's not a captain, because there's the whole since he's the first black captain.
Yeah,
right?
is he a commander because they thought that audiences
Right.
couldn't accept that there would be a black captain?
Right.
And is the episode later on where like he's a writer in the 1920s like a commentary on that?
Right. And he talks about it. Like I know Avery Brooks is like very like proud of his heritage and stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And he talks about it like in the show. It comes up a lot. Like when they go to Vic's in the holodeck, like the 1960s Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's
casino.
like a 1960s, late 1950s, early 1960s.
Yeah. It's like a Frank Sinatra Vegas. And he's like, I don't want to pretend to be in a time when like our people couldn't like drink out of the same water fountain with fucking certain people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't
so
sound
it
like
comes
fun.
up a lot. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want to like pretend that never happened, you know?
Yeah, I mean, him starting as a commander gives him room to grow as well, but he could have done that as a captain just as well.
It makes sense that like he's a commander like in the canon of Star Trek because like they don't send captains too often to go to these places. Like commanders are meant to command, and they're perfectly capable of like commanding
I guess,
like space stations and stuff like that. Like captains are important to starships, right? Like they need to go be starship captains.
yeah, there's an argument to be made that the writers started him out as a commander because in the canon of Star Trek, commanders are the ones that run star bases. That was even set up in TOS.
Right. Like that's their job. But it feels icky. Like it doesn't.
He's the only one that started out as a lower rank.
Yeah, and he's the black guy, so it's like it doesn't feel right. But
the reasoning behind it might be sound, but it's still strange.
Yeah, it's not great. The optics aren't very good.
We get like a really tense ass scene with Captain Picard and Sisko, like sitting down and talking, and like Sisko
It's really
fucking
good.
hates him.
Yeah, he says we met before, and Picard's like, we have, and he's like, at Wolf 359, and Picard's like, oh, I just stepped into that one.
Yeah, Picard like looks genuinely hurt when he says
looks,
that.
like, really crushed.
But that's the power of Patrick Stewart acting.
Yeah, he's amazing.
You
I
can
love him.
feel the emotions, even though his face is like.
Yeah.
There's a scene when he sees O'Brien off, and he seems very like personable and nice, and like he's gonna miss O'Brien, but you know he's being very professional. And once O'Brien leaves, he has this look on his face that just says like he's losing a great officer, and he doesn't
like,
change
he
his
doesn't wanna
expression
go.
much at all.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, Captain Picard. The human man, Captain Picard, who's a real life person, is an incredible actor.
He's pretty much Captain Picard.
He should be.
He's such a great dude anyway, so.
Yeah, I know.
But Picard sort of snaps back at a certain point when Sisko's like, yeah, I don't really want to be on this mission anymore. I want you to find me a replacement. And Picard's like, you need to do anything you can to make sure Bajor joins the Federation. Just don't break the Prime Directive.
Fuck. Yeah. Yeah.
It's because Picard went through all that shit with Rolaren. You wouldn't really understand Picard's motivations in this scene at all if you hadn't seen TNG.
Right. Rolaren and that ensign who dies in the shuttle.
Exactly.
That's a good episode, and
that is a damn good episode. Lower Decks.
That's a tough one to watch because it's like, oh man,
yeah, it's a depressing ass episode.
It sucks.
But if you were just watching this and you hadn't seen any of that, you would think Picard's like an expansionist, like he's being like a colonialist a little bit.
A colonialist, yeah.
Which maybe would help this scene to make him seem more like a character. You know, of course, Sisko doesn't like this guy still, even though he was forced against his will to be Locutus. He's like a colonialist.
Right, he's kind of being like a manifest destiny, right?
Yeah.
Like it's our destiny that Bajor joins the Federation.
And there's a lot of stuff like that in this episode that's you wouldn't really get if you hadn't watched TNG.
Yeah.
Like, who is this bald man? What does he have to do with anything?
It's interesting to think about it like that because like this is like 93, and like there was no internet. Like
No.
you couldn't just be like, who is this? And like go Google that shit. Like you had to either watch the show in reruns, or you had to talk to somebody who knew about Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
It's just
there's
so
no
weird.
reference for you whatsoever,
Yeah,
so you just
there
have to be
isn't.
like, well, I guess I'll never know who that guy is. Whatever.
right. And like maybe later you figure it out. I guess do they come back at some point? I don't think they do.
No, Picard never comes back.
Yeah.
He's too busy having a real career outside of Star Trek.
Worf does. He's like, I'll do anything.
Yeah, he's like, fuck, please put me on a television show. I need to work.
I only know how to be Worf.
He just had to be like a smooth talking ladies man, like in that 1920s episode.
Yeah.
Or
Oh
1930s
God.
episode.
Yeah.
Baseball man.
That's right. He's like a Babe Ruth, right?
Yeah, he's like a big time baseball boy.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about Sisko's character in this episode because like you learn that he's not above using slightly underhanded tactics from his position in order to get what he wants. He's like a chess player a little
He's like
bit.
a politician a little bit.
Yeah.
He's playing the politics.
You learn that because Nog and unnamed character
Guy alien.
Alien Man get captured trying to steal from the promenade.
Yeah. 'Cause
And-
it's all fucked up. Like the station's like jacked as fuck.
Well, yeah, the Cardassians obliterated most of the station when they left, just for being, just to be dickheads, really.
They're just assholes. Yeah.
And they stole everything that was useful, but apparently not everything that you could sell, because Nog and this guy break in.
Yeah.
And he throws, the alien dude throws like a fucking mace, like a
Like
fucking
a twirly mace.
like he throws like a ball and chain.
Yeah.
at
like a
Odo.
Yeah.
Like they had that next door on the Hercules: The Legendary Journey set, and they just
Hey,
brought it
Zena,
over.
you using this? Nah, you can borrow a DS9.
He's kind of dressed a little bit like an extra from Hercules. They just put like monster
Yeah.
makeup on him.
This is like I was in like 7th grade at this time, so I was like, no, I was in like 5th grade when this came out, but like by like 6th or 7th grade, I was super into those shows, man.
Oh,
this
dude.
show and those shows.
Dude, I fucking loved Hercules: The Legendary Journey
Oh my God, it was
so
incredible.
fucking much.
It's incredible.
And
Kevin Sorbo's a lunatic. But
he's a fucking madman, but
yeah.
I watched through the first 4 seasons of that last year, and it is so cringy at parts.
In a time when God ruled the world. Like the fucking voiceover. Oh my God.
It's so cringy at parts, but it's genuinely entertaining still. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
In a really
it's,
campy B-movie kind of way.
Yeah, it's got Bruce Campbell is in it.
Oh,
and-
those episodes are the best episodes. When he plays
what-
the Otto Clysis, the King of Thieves.
Yeah, like the Robin Hood guy. I always like, why is Robin Hood in this show?
He's like Robin Hood if he stole from the rich and gave to himself.
To himself, yeah. He's like a real big dick. Because that's like that's him, right?
He's great at that type of character.
He's just Ash always.
I love it when he's in that, especially because like he has. It's weird to say this because Kevin Sorbo's a nut job now or whatever, but he used to
Yeah.
have like a lot of charisma, and he could
Yeah.
play a main character and play off people really well.
Well, he got old, and then like he probably like lost like all his like sex abilities. And he
Probably.
probably turned crazy because his wiener didn't work too good anymore.
Here's a completely unrelated John Larroquette fun fact of the week.
Oh fuck, I'm ready.
I guess a Judge Anderson fun fact of the week. The Kevin Sorbo had a disease that ate his muscles away, which was very
really?
fucking ironic for the guy who got on TV because he was muscular.
That's like Superman getting shot and killed. Like, what's his name? Or
Yeah, George Reeve
George
got
Reeve,
shot and
yeah.
killed. But God, I got a story about that too. But like Kevin Sorbo stopped doing his own stunts at a certain point in the series,
Yeah.
and the show started becoming more about fucking Aeolus.
Aeolus.
Because Kevin Sorbo was just in the hospital all the time getting treatment.
Yeah, that
And that's
show-
why he's so thin now. He doesn't have muscles anymore.
Right. Well, I just made fun of him, so
Well, fuck
I'm a
it.
terrible human.
Fuck it.
But his
George
dick probably
Reeve,
doesn't work good.
It works fine, I'm sure. But
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know firsthand or anything, everybody. Don't think that.
First hand, second hand.
Don't think. George Reeve
Is this
made
about
a bunch
the kid?
Yeah, the kid who pulled the gun on him.
It's in the movie.
Yeah, I guess that isn't Hollywood Land. Hollywood the name of that
Land,
movie,
yeah.
right?
That's a sad-ass movie,
Yes,
dude.
it is.
That movie will make you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, a kid at a personal appearance pulled a gun on him and was going to shoot him to see the bullet bounce off him because he thought he was Superman, and he talked him out of it.
He says, like, well, if you shoot me and it bounces off, it might hit somebody. It's, like, really smart, yeah.
He works it out really smart instead of going, shit, kid, put the gun down!
Yeah, he, like, plays it as Superman, yeah.
It works out much better. Anyway, we learn that Kira believes that Kai being spiritual leader
like the
of
Pope.
the planet. Yeah, she's Pope Opaka. The spiritual leader of Bajor is, they need her to take control of the provisional government or it's all going to fall apart. Kai Opaka, for her part, does not give a fuck and only cares about the orbs.
Yeah. There's, like, these, like, fucking space orbs.
Yeah, they're not orbs at all. They're hourglasses.
They're hourglasses, yeah.
But,
which I guess was, like, to be like, oh, they fuck with time, right? Like,
yeah, I guess.
It's very fantasy. There's some super fantasy going on here.
Yeah, like, why aren't they orbs? Why are they? Couldn't they have called them, like, the crystals of prophecy or whatever?
And when they're like out of the case that they are in, like the case is like a trapezoid. Like I don't know, like
none of it's an orb.
None of it says round to me.
But like when Cisco goes to meet Kai Opaka, he has like an orb experience.
Yeah,
which will happen a lot in this series, by the way.
Yeah, you get a lot of that.
But he ends up on a beach where he met his wife, and he acts like a fucking lunatic, and she still falls in love with him.
It's great. It's great. She's like sunbathing with her top off, and he's like kicks sand in her fucking face.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You just be the beach bully, and you'll get all the women. It's what the 1960s taught me.
He's like, here's some lemonade.
But Kai Opaka's like, yeah, you're the emissary, and he's like, what?
The fuck is that?
We go back to DS9, and there's a scene that's like half heartwarming and half weird.
Yeah.
When Cisco's like, he's like touching Jake's face, and he's like, oh, I was just thinking about how much you look like your mother.
Yeah.
But he's like still weird Cisco because he hasn't figured out the character yet.
Yeah, I like him like that. Like, he seems like a goofy dad in some ways. You know what I mean? Like he's really nice to Jake, which is like really cool.
He's a really great dad.
Yeah. Like, usually you'd be like, oh, this guy's like doesn't have time for his kid or whatever.
No,
like that
he
was
really
how,
loves his kid.
Yeah, that's how they would do it now. Like J.J. Abrams would be like, oh, this guy hates his son because I hate my dad. Like that's what they would write now.
J.J. Abrams really does have a problem with fathers.
He's got some super dad issues, man. And it's like, hey, fucking join the club, bro.
Yeah, everybody does. Fucking deal with it.
You're not the only one, asshole.
Like, weird Cisco is a term that I made with my wife. Because there's a period of, like, Cisco just being a giant weirdo. Like, it happens in this episode once, especially.
Avery Brooks is super weird. Like,
yeah, he's a strange dude.
He's got some weird shit that he's into.
But
like, not, like, weird shit.
He's into weird shit, man.
But he's like a space case. Like,
yeah.
He talks and you're like, Avery, what are you fucking talking about? Like, he's out there, man.
He's like somebody I know.
Who are you talking about?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
There's a scene, like the scene when he's on the beach with Jennifer and he realizes what's happening.
Yeah.
He goes, "This is wild." Hey!
He just like screams. Yeah. Yeah.
He does like a James Brown. He goes, "Hey!"
Yeah. He gets It like freaks him out. Like his brain breaks.
Hey! It's so fucking weird. But fucking. We meet Bashir, we meet Dax, and we learn that Bashir wants to fuck Dax.
Yeah.
And Dax is examining the orb, and we get, like, this weird, almost, like, religious flashback. This, like, holy kind of flashback of her getting the trill put in her.
Yeah.
And, Curzon looks absolutely nothing like he's gonna look every time he appears for the rest of the series.
Yeah. They got some actual dying old man, and they just put spots on him.
He literally just died on screen.
They just shot it in a hospital room.
Yeah. R.I.P. old man. We learned a lot about Bashir. At least this version of Bashir, when he gives his little speech about frontier medicine, and then Kira just punches his dick off for it.
Oh man, it's so great because she's like, "Hey, fuck you, asshole! This is my home," and he's like, "This isn't the frontier to me, you prick."
And he's like, oh no.
Oh my god, I'm usually so good at fucking ladies.
Oh no, ladies usually love my dick.
Oh god, I'm so charming.
Why am I the most handsome on the show and I can't get a woman?
Frontier sucks, I'm going home.
I wanted the frontier to suck my dick. Fucking Picard talks to O'Brien again. He says bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Have fun being more than just a transporter, man.
Yeah. I love fucking O'Brien says it's just a transporter room. And I'm like, O'Brien, this has been your whole life.
Yeah, man.
For 6 years.
Let him leave. Eat your fucking lunch in there, O'Brien.
What if we need to transport somewhere, dickhead?
We can't just have a fucking computer do it. We need you in there doing it.
There's a webcomic that everybody already knows.
I know that one.
Which is like, I enjoy somewhat, but it's like really mean-spirited.
Yeah, it is mean-spirited.
Like, it gets to the point where like Keiko, like Molly isn't even his daughter. It's Riker's and shit. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's like crazy.
This thing is mean as fuck.
Yeah, they get a little out of hand with that one.
It's a little bit like the writer doesn't like O'Brien themselves.
Yeah. I don't know how you can not like him.
No, O'Brien's a great dude. Poor O'Brien and his fucking suffering episodes, though, in Deep Space Nine, right?
Oh my god, that dude is like... That dude got out of the transporter room and, like, the universe literally smacked its dick in his face, dude.
The existence itself was like, man, I'm gonna put this fucker through the ringer.
This Irish piece of shit is going down.
Like, every now and then in his life, he just hears off in the distance,
Fuck it. Rumpelstiltskin.
What is that? Is that Rumpelstiltskin again?
Goddamn Rumpelstiltskin's everywhere.
Rumpelstiltskin is technically responsible for everything that happens to him back.
He's like a Q. Yeah, he's like his own Q.
That would be great. I'd love that.
It's just Rumpel fucking Stiltskin.
I can't believe Rumpelstiltskin was in fucking Deep Space Nine.
Dude, I love it.
It's your favorite thing to mention about this show.
It's the most unbelievable Star Trek thing. And, like, there's some really stupid Star Trek shit. Like, even in TOS, they go to, like, Alice in Wonderland world and shit
they go to the world where everyone on the planet is a Nazi. Like, it's just a planet, and there's a planet of Nazis.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I feel like the Rumpelstiltskin thing, like, we were far enough away from TOS where, like, that... I mean, they science it. They Star Trek science it, but,
yeah,
like...
it's... they don't science it well, though.
No, it's not great.
It's a Rumpelstiltskin. He's here now.
There he is. He's a magic man.
Did I ever finish my thought about the underhanded thing that Cisco was using Nog as a piece to get Quark to stay on board because he needed someone to keep open so that people would want to open their own shops again.
Right.
Which brings me to the next point perfectly. It's great that I forgot I was talking about that for 20 minutes.
Yes.
Because Cisco has an underhanded plan to get rid of the Cardassians. We meet Gul Dukat, who is also sort of a proto-Dukat. He's not quite as charming as he is later.
Yeah, they don't let him off the leash like they do later.
No.
Where he's just like a complete shithole.
He's like the biggest dick face, and I love that
my God.
in a villain.
He's unbelievably good. Like, that guy is in, like, nothing.
No, he really should be in more. It's because without his makeup, he looks exactly the same. So, not great. So.
I think he plays... He's in the episode of TNG where Data goes back to San Francisco time with Mark Twain. And he's the poker player.
Oh, yeah?
He's the shark, yeah.
I know he plays a Cardassian in TNG.
He does also play that other Fu Manchu Cardassian.
Yeah, who's literally just Gul Dukat with a Fu Manchu.
It's Gul Dukat, yeah.
Actually, the guy who plays Quark, whose name is escaping me right now.
Oh, what is his name? Shit.
Fuck. We ruined it, everybody.
I have another fun
Armin
fact.
Shimmerman.
Shimmerman, yes.
He played a Ferengi several times in TNG.
Yeah, so did Rom. Rom
Yes.
plays a good Ferengi.
Yes, he does.
He's great. Rom is also weird Rom. Like, Rom is a totally different character.
Yeah, he only appears for like a second, but he's like a table shark kind of character.
Yeah, he's like a Ferengi. Like, he's like
He's like a legitimate Ferengi.
typical Ferengi.
Yeah.
He's like greedy and whatever, yeah. But later he's like a ding-dong.
Yeah, well, and he's super lovable. That's his character.
He's adorable. He's fucking adorable.
He's the lovable idiot. Which is how we make our money on this podcast, by having two of them.
We real dumb. Send money.
Send us money, please. We need
Money,
it for brain
please.
powers.
Money.
But the underhanded thing, Cisco has a plot to get rid of to keep the Cardassians off their trail while they go and investigate the Denorius belt.
Yes, because there's something happens there. Why do they want to go there?
They
There's, like, some
study
weird
all
readings?
the orb phenomena that happened,
Yeah.
and it all like is centered
Leads to
around the
there.
Denorius belt.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So they decide to go there. This isn't a recap episode like some of the others. I'm not gonna fucking recap everything this time. We're just talking.
Yeah, we're just shooting.
But I'm going through it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like this shows Cisco's character a lot, that he's super clever and he's all about like outthinking his opponents.
He's tactical. He's very tactical.
He's very tactical.
And later that plays well with him because he's very he's like a military commander later. Like, he's very knowledgeable about war. Like, he's much more prepared for war than like most Starfleet captains.
Yes. Yeah. And his plan is like, he has like the Cardassians win a bunch of fucking latinum at Quarks. And they do this whole fake shutting down Quarks thing so that they can put their latinum in a bag and take it and put it on their ship. Turns out to be Odo.
They do this a lot in the show, and every time they do it, I never see it coming.
Really?
They do it a lot where Odo is like a backpack or a bag.
Yeah.
The one episode where they join the Jem'Hadar to take back the Iconian gateway. Mm-hmm. Odo's a bag.
He's always a fucking bag.
He's always a bag. Just be a bag, Odo.
But then he disables all their sensors and engines and shit, and they take off in the Rio Grande and go to the wormhole.
He starts throwing his shoes in the gears, and then it fucks up the ship.
That happens.
That's where sabotage comes from.
His Sabbath foots.
It's also a good Beastie Boys song.
Yeah, it's not in this Star Trek, but it is in another Star Trek.
It will be later. Ugh.
Wham, wham. But like the big problem they run into is like once they find the wormhole and everything.
Yeah.
And Cisco's trapped in it, and the wormhole just like spits Dax out.
Yeah.
It puts her back on the ship, which is nice. They give her a ride home.
Yeah, they're not like trying to kill her or whatever.
But here we get into the meat of this episode when Cisco is in the wormhole conversing with the prophets.
Yeah.
The wormhole aliens, as I would call them in this time period.
Yeah.
Has to explain the nature of being a human being to them, which is just so fucking Star Trek.
It's incredible, like for like when this show was made, like now it sort of seems like this is cool, but like at the time it's like you're getting into like the mix of like this ethereal thought experiment in television shows.
Oh, yeah.
Like
it's like, how would beings who have no concept of linear time understand beings that do?
How would you even explain what time is to some extra dimensional, like timeless thing? Like they wouldn't. How do you explain like 4 dimensions to a 3-dimensional person? Like,
you can't. But Cisco does a decent job of it. He doesn't do as good of a job of it as the prophets act like he does.
Yeah.
But you'd be in this episode for like 20 hours in a row to even get near any sort of competency of understanding.
Plus, I guess it's like explaining like 2 dimensions to us, right? Like we can understand 2 dimensions. We can see it.
You'd understand it eventually, even if you had no concept of 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
Although it's not quite like that because they don't know linear time at all.
Yes, well, so like that's like the
maybe it would be more
thing,
like
right?
maybe it would be more like understanding one dimension.
Right, like
for
what
us
a dot
as
is. How do you
three-dimension.
but how do you explain what a dot is?
Yeah, that would be very difficult.
It's just a point, but it doesn't have any. Like the point doesn't even have any like width to it. Like it's really hard to explain.
It has like width, but no depth at all.
But it wouldn't have width because that would make it a two-dimensional.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's just a point. It doesn't have. It's like a. I don't know.
It's impossible. Like,
we're gonna be here for 20 hours.
Yeah, you can't.
Anyway. But that's like the real Star Trek ass meat of the episode, and it's my favorite part of this episode by far.
Yeah, this is where the show like is basically like this ain't your grandma's Star Trek, you know, like you get that Star Trek, but you also get like there's this like new things are going to be a little different this time.
Yeah.
Like it's sad. There's like much more like emotional weight to it. Like they keep the aliens keep saying like why they keep going back to Jennifer dying on the Saratoga, and they're like, why do you live here? Why do you exist here? And he's like, what are you fucking talking about? He's like, I don't exist here. This is a different time. And they keep coming back and basically like forcing him to like confront that he like never let it go or he never got over it, you know?
It's really interesting that he's trying to teach them about his existence, and he learns more about his existence than he knew before from them.
That's Star Trek.
Yes,
that's
it is. That exchange of ideas.
Exactly Star Trek. Yes.
And
I just got goosebumps because like like it's incredible. Like they just don't do that anymore.
No, they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, it just made me sad.
It's also a little bit of like I talk about how this I've mentioned a bunch of times so far that this episode is really front loaded with Star Trek knowledge that you'd already have to have.
Yeah,
but that is such a perfect, succinct explanation of what Star Trek is when he's talking to them about what it means to be human. Like, basically from the point when they ask about baseball onward is a perfect explanation of humanity in Star Trek and what it means.
Yeah, it's I would say it's why like science exists like in the real world. Like how do we like explain what we are to ourselves? Like when we go out and look at the things that exist in the universe, like with telescopes, and when we send like spacecraft to Saturn like Cassini, like we're not doing it because we're like just really curious like about stuff, which we are, but we're doing it because like it's a mirror and it shines back at ourselves, and it tells us like what we really believe. Like
it's a search for knowledge and self-actualization.
Yeah, it's like the philosophy behind science, right? Like if you could say that, like
and that's Star Trek. I feel like so many people become scientists because of Star Trek, because in our world, in the real world, science is treated as this like cold, emotionless, logical,
sterile
numbers and shit, like experiments and numbers. Star Trek explains the purpose of science, like what the reason we seek and the reason why we try to find this new knowledge.
Right.
It's bettering ourselves as a species and growing beyond the petty small creatures that we are.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day that'll happen.
Hopefully.
But it's always a growth thing, right? It's little by little.
It's painful, yeah.
Yeah, growing pains are a real thing, especially in the modern world right now. We're all gonna die.
Oh, boy.
Jesus. Woo! You know what? We should probably take another break.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be right back after these messages from hopefully a sponsor give us money.
This episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine is brought to you in part by your local bottler of C+.
C+ invites you to a Star Trek Deep Space Nine experience. Win a tour of Paramount Pictures in Hollywood, home of Star Trek Deep Space Nine from C+. Win holographic Star Trek t-shirts or communicator pins weekly. Have your C+ UPC code ready. Telephone 1-900-561-3000 within 30 minutes. That's right, 1-900-561-3000. You could be there.
All right.
And we're back only 30 minutes later.
Yeah, that was a long
after we
break.
stopped talking.
I'm gonna put
last time.
30 minutes of a commercial in there.
We just started talking about everything besides Star Trek for a while.
It happens.
I forget where we're even at, actually.
They're in the wormhole.
Yeah, we were talking about how the prophets and Cisco like learn from one another.
Right. Yes.
And eventually he talks them all the way to the point of completely understanding him, and I guess we learn later in the series choosing him as their emissary.
Even though, major spoiler, I'm not gonna ruin it. Even though, like, it was already that was already in play, even at this point.
What is major spoilers? The emissary thing?
Cisco and the prophets.
Oh well, yeah.
Because they
no spoiling on that one, but there's definitely some stuff in play.
There's some other things going on,
but which is funny when you watch this episode and there's not really any hint of that.
Yeah, but I
guess it's like they're cryptic as fuck all the time. That's how they operate. He had to grow.
They're super weirdos.
Right?
Yeah, they're
There are parts in the series where they tell him not to do something specifically, and he does it, and then like they never bring it up again.
Yeah, they're kind of dicks. Like, there's a couple episodes where, like, I think it's either Jake or somebody is like, why are you listening to them?
Yeah, like fucking the one where he's getting like the prophecies. He's like being clairvoyant and it's killing him, and Jake's like
Shambhala or whatever the fuck.
Jake's like, you're gonna fucking die if you keep using him. And Cisco's like, so?
He's like, I'm almost there. It's very there's like a movie like that. I want to say it's like Pi, like the movie Pi.
The Life of Pi?
No, it's Darren Aronofsky's first movie. It's like a student film
with the fucking tiger.
So you know it ends real happy. Yes, the tiger is like, yeah.
The tiger's like, no, I almost see the future. I almost see it.
He's like, meow, mew, mew, meow, meow, tiger. Meow.
That's how they all sound.
Yep, dude. I heard a lion roar one time, and in real life, and I was like, holy fucking shit! Like there was like a primitive part of my brain that was like, run.
Get the fuck out.
Dude, it was loud as fuck, and I was like, holy shit, that's terrifying. Like,
yeah.
Dude, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think about it. You're like, oh, lion roar, but then you hear it, and it's like the fucking earth shakes, and you're like, Jesus fuck, dude.
That's the thing. That's another thing you never think about. When you see, like, a tiger or a lion on TV, you're like, oh, those are pretty big. Those are, like, big old cats. And then you see one in person, and you're like, holy fuck.
That's a monster. That's a monster from my nightmares.
Yeah, that thing could tear me limb from fucking limb.
It would just crack my skull open and eat the brains inside of my head.
Delicious,
like
delicious brains. I mean, like, when Cisco's inside the wormhole, though, there's, like, a lot of shit going on outside of it.
Yeah.
Like, Gold Dukat decides he's gonna go in as well and gets lost in the Gamma Quadrant for a little bit.
Yeah. Like, the wormhole, like, closes. It, like, shuts itself off.
Yeah.
Because the aliens, they're like, someone else is in here. And he's like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's someone looking for me. You know what I mean?
And they're like, no, you're going to try and hurt us.
Yeah.
We shut the wormhole down.
They're, like, real paranoid about shit.
Yeah, they are. They're very afraid of being hurt for, like, timeless beings that exist beyond our comprehension.
And I guess later you kind of make sense a little bit.
Yeah, it all comes around. That's something that DS9 has over all the rest of the series for sure, is that stuff always comes around.
It's rounded out well.
But when Dukat disappears, the Cardassians show up immediately.
Yeah, they're pissed.
There's like... The distance between Bajor and Cardassia is like... negligible in some episodes, and in other episodes it's like really far.
It's, I mean, I could look at like a map, like the way it's represented. Like, okay, so like space is like divided into sectors. Like when you look at it's like a 3-dimensional, it's like a cube, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's only like one sector away. Like Bajor is like in the middle of the sector of that they're in, and then I think Cardassia is like in the next sector. So I guess it's relative, but like relatively speaking, I think it's pretty close.
Like they talk about it taking like several days to get to Cardassia.
Yeah.
In some episodes, but then like the Cardassians show up immediately in this episode.
Yeah. Star Trek's really like
It's inconsistent.
it's not great at it because like I mean I guess that's why they have different warp factors to like nullify that like to like round off the edges a little bit of like the stark like mathematics of travel, right? Like
Yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter to the overall story. We're like giant fucking dorks about this shit and really get into it.
Like I could talk about this shit all day long.
Yeah. and we do. But
So like Bajor ships are slow as fuck because they're like they don't have good shit, right?
No, yeah, they have
So it
like
probably
really
takes
broken
them a
down
while.
shit
Yeah.
at this point. They couldn't develop technology while they were occupied.
Yeah, they were like they're basically flying like primitive ships. Like,
Yeah, they're flying
Warp
like
2
the
ships.
space version of a biplane,
Right,
basically.
Exactly.
And like all the Cardassians show up and they're like, "Where the fuck is Ducat?" And they tell him the truth
Yeah.
about what happened, and he's like, "I refuse that. I'm gonna blow you the fuck out of the sky in
Yeah.
1 hour unless you give it up."
Just being Cardassians.
And they come up with this brilliant idea that would have worked on TNG.
Yeah.
But on Deep Space Nine, the more intelligent your idea is, the less likely it is to work.
It's the reverse TNG theory, right?
Yeah, like the more
yeah.
effort you put into your gambit, the more it's not going to work, and it's
work.
going to blow up in your face.
It's like the real world. Like that's
Yeah.
how the real world works.
Absolutely. My fucking life experience tells that for sure.
Don't think too hard because it's a lot of complicated parts that are moving here.
The fucking like Cardassians see through their plot immediately. Their brilliant plan is to put off all this like fake information that shows that they're armed to the teeth and all their systems
Right.
are working.
Right.
And the Gull in charge, Gull Desaad, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
He is just like, they're tricking us
Yeah.
immediately.
There's no way they could do this, right? Like,
They probably went overboard with showing that they were well armed.
yeah.
But
Shoot 6 photon torpedoes at them. Right?
yeah, they shoot
Don't they-
everything they have.
Yeah.
It's a great delivery when she's like, shoots 6 photon torpedoes across their bow, and
Yeah.
O'Brien goes, "We only have 6
We have
torpedoes."
6, yeah. And she's like, torpedoes aren't going to win this or whatever.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
6 torpedoes are not going to save the day.
Gull Jasad is his
Jasad,
name.
yeah.
You were close.
Another J name. All J people are cool.
Yep. True. Maybe not him, though. He's kind of
No, he's kind of a prick.
He probably murdered some Bajorans, so.
Yeah, fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. They get theirs in the end. Uh-oh. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's weird how they end up in a very similar situation later.
Oh, it's like a mirror facing a mirror.
But just when things are at their bleakest and they're about to get blown out of the sky, the wormhole opens again. Like, actually,
Yeah.
Kira is saying the words that we're going to surrender now when the wormhole
Yeah.
opens again.
And she's like, there's your wormhole. She gets like fucking
Yeah,
pissed.
which is great.
Yeah.
And Cisco's back, and he tells Picard that he wants to keep his position, and they shake hands and leave as friends.
As men would do.
And,
Yep.
you know.
And that's the beginning. Like I like how this series sets itself up. TNG like doesn't really like it sets up the characters in like Encounter at Farpoint, but
Yeah,
like
it sets up the characters and also the tone the rest of the series
Yeah.
is going to have.
yeah, but it's not like things that happen in this episode of DS9 are important throughout the whole show. Like there's ground rules set
A lot of
immediately.
shit, actually.
Yeah.
Almost everything in this episode plays out into something later
Yes.
on.
From
Whereas
Odo to it's
yeah,
everything.
whereas in TNG, the only thing that really plays out super heavily from the first episode is Q's involvement throughout the rest of the series.
Q's around, yeah.
We get a lot of introduction to the philosophy of Star Trek and TNG in Encounter
Yes.
at Farpoint.
Yeah, which I guess like counts. I guess it's just a little looser.
But it's like
'cause-
it's basically like seeing the beginnings of long threads
Right.
laying before you, and you can tug at any of them and see how far they go just from
Right.
this first episode.
right. It's Is it? I don't know. I love this show, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a big fucking fan of DS9. Like,
I started watching the second episode immediately, so I was like, oh, I gotta stop because I have to like actually do shit today.
like, my ranking of Star Trek series always changes.
Yeah.
And DS9 is almost always the second or third on it.
Well, when you watch it again, like, how many times have I don't want to call you out. How many times have you watched the series?
all the way through?
Yeah.
3 now?
3? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done about like 7.
Jeez.
I'll just put it on like when I'm like doing shit. So like I don't know. And like I don't know. I'm also a huge Battlestar Galactica fan, and like I always say to you that this is like proto Battlestar Galactica.
It is. I've seen maybe like 6 or 7 episodes of Battlestar Galactica now.
Yeah. Replace Kira with Starbuck and make Starbuck more angry. Like, and then you have that's Kira, right? Like, it's the same.
There's like, I didn't get into Battlestar Galactica from just like the 6 or 7 episodes I watched. I should probably give it more of a chance.
Watch the first season, and then I don't know. I love it, but
I got to a point where, like, oh my god, I don't want to get into Battlestar spoilers, but somebody was like called out as being a Cylon.
Oh yeah.
And then like falsely called out, but then it wasn't false.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
That's just like the beginning. Like, it gets crazy.
I don't doubt that at all. That's Ronald D.
great.
Moore for you, though.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know, man. Outlander, the show. Oh man, I don't know.
Is that the like Kung Fu Apocalypse show with the like kid with the necklace or whatever?
What?
What is the name of that show?
I don't know, but Outlander's about like a British lady who time travels to Scotland.
Okay, so I'm talking about Into the something.
I don't know.
Into the Badlands.
Into the Badlands? I haven't seen that yet.
All right. It has land in it. Fuck off.
I fucking wish Outlander was that show.
That show is so fucking ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but holy hell. Deep Space Nine is like... there's a podcast. I guess I'll give them a shout out. They have more listeners than we do, so I guess it doesn't fucking matter. There's a podcast called Rules of Acquisition.
Yeah.
And their entire like thesis statement is that Deep Space Nine was a prototype for modern television.
Yeah, I'll stand by that. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I feel like it's
a show designed for a specific amount of time, which back in the 90s, like, that wasn't a thing.
No, it's a show that was designed to tell one extended story as well, which was not a thing back then for the most part.
And not a thing for Star Trek at all.
No. Star Trek was super syndication. It was all about telling a quick short story and then moving on to the next one.
Yeah. As we'll see in our next pilot, the terrible side of that.
Yeah. I have a lot to say about Voyager when we get to it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people haven't given Deep Space Nine a chance because of, like, the spin-off syndrome. Yeah. Where people have just heard that Star Trek has bad spin-offs. Which isn't necessarily true, especially because Deep Space Nine breaks that rule 100%.
Well, that's the Voyager effect, and I feel that way about Enterprise. Like, I think Enterprise suffers because of Voyager.
I feel like Enterprise suffers because of its first 2 seasons.
Yeah, but there's some fun Star Trek in there. Like, there's some really cool Star Trek in those seasons. Like, they're not all home runs, but like neither was fucking TNG. The first season is terrible.
No, the first season of TNG is terrible, and the second season's good, but it's not great. It doesn't get great until season 3.
I mean, there's episodes where they like run into like a Romulan minefield, and it sets up like, oh, these guys are like bad news, you know, and they're super.
I guess I'm not like an authority on Enterprise. Like, I've done a lot of jumping around and watching one episode here, 2 episodes there in Enterprise, just trying to give it a shot, trying to get to stuff that I would like.
Yeah, I can make you a list of like episodes. There are some.
we're gonna be
stupid as
getting
fuck
to 'em.
episodes. Yeah.
We're gonna be getting to them. I felt like jumping around, I was just like tossing shit up in the air and hoping it would land on a bullseye.
Yeah.
Then I was getting a lot of outside the rings and shit.
Right.
It was all chance, and I was rolling snake eyes every time.
Like season 2 has some good episodes. Like Carbon Creek is a good one.
I've
it's
heard
like
that, yeah.
like a time travel episode that isn't a time travel episode. It's really good.
I haven't seen that one, so... I saw the one where T'Pol was addicted to space meth.
Well, yeah.
I talked about that one.
Injecting some Trillium D into your blood. There you go.
I talked about that one in my guest appearance on the Sidecast, which should be coming
shout
up
out.
soon.
Yeah.
Go
Nice.
Sidecast.
Sidecast show. At Sidecast show.
I think it's just at the Sidecast, isn't it?
I don't know.
Fuck, we ruined it. We ruined it.
We blew it.
Fuck, I was fucking over.
We were trying to be nice and we fucked ourselves. We fucked up.
We fucked everything. But
Fuck it.
I'll tell you what, fucking alright, Twitter isn't working. I was just gonna look it up, but never mind.
I also tried it and I was like,
Oh, it is at Sidecast Show. Josh
told
was
you.
right from the beginning.
I didn't think I was wrong, but I was willing to accept that the possibility could exist.
That's Star Trek as fuck of you, Josh.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was being real modern Earth about it. It's Deep Space Nine, though, is a series that if you haven't given it a shot, like, I've been saying people should watch Deep Space Nine for ages.
Yeah.
If you haven't given it a shot, jump on board that shit. Because
great.
it is a wild fucking ride.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's I don't know. It's great. I don't know what else to say about it.
I talk about it being like it skirts the edge of going too far into discrediting the utopian future of Star Trek.
Yeah,
But I feel like it never crosses that line, and that's why I still love it unconditionally.
well, they kind of get around that too in like the premise of the show, where like they're like you said, like they're a frontier town. Like sometimes justice doesn't meet with the letter of the law in a frontier town, and you have to like, blow up a fucking planet where the Maquis live.
Oh, okay, maybe I lied about saying they don't go too far. The only problem I have with that is there's no repercussions for it.
Well, he asked permission to do it, and they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Starfleet's like, I don't know, fucking do it,
I feel like there should be some type of repercussion, but there isn't. It's never even mentioned again.
Well, it doesn't matter at some point. Like,
yeah,
it's at some point. It's just that's not they got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
You know
Also,
what I mean?
I fucking hate the Maquis, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. One thing that we can talk about in the next episode is the Maquis being heavy Native American.
That's true.
Which gives a little more weight to
it's like
why.
It's like a false weight, I guess.
Well,
it's not
it's
talked
cheap, I
about.
think.
Yeah, it's not talked about too heavily. It's just sort of implied.
Well, they have an episode where like Chakotay has like visions of his father, and like
I do remember that.
He says like, first like you moved us like off our land in America, and then you put us into camps, and now you're moving us like off this planet, which like I guess makes the Maquis a little more like reason for them to feel that way.
It would make me feel that way more if they'd been there longer than 16 years.
Well, also like when the United States moved Native Americans off their land, they put them into like basically death camps.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
And like in
reservations
Star Trek,
at that time were like fucking straight up internment camps.
I mean,
they
they're
just call them
horrible
something
now
else.
too.
Yeah,
Like they're bad now, but like. I mean, in Star Trek, they're not going to put you in a death camp. They're going to give you, like, a fucking replicator and be like, replicate a bunch of shit for yourself.
Yeah, they're going to give you, like, a planet that's not in the fucking edge of the universe where you can get attacked by the Cardassians.
I'd be like, let's move, because the Cardassians are fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's like the canon of Star Trek is that the Maquis have been on that planet for 16 years. They've been on those planets for 16 years.
Yeah.
There's an episode of TNG with a planet of Native Americans who've been there for like 150 years or something.
Right.
and that makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, I don't
Or like
know.
they've been there 200 or 300 years at that point, I think.
Yeah,
And that makes a lot more sense that it's their land. They don't want to be taken from it. Like, the colonists in the Maquis have been there 16 years. There are no generations of people.
well, they mentioned, I mean, we're getting into, like, some heavy fucking Star Trek right now, but they mentioned, like, during the, like, I don't know what you'd call it, the Constitutional Convention for the Federation, that, like, Native Americans were, like, asked to participate to, like, help prevent the atrocities that they had to go through.
Absolutely.
And a lot of, I guess, the ones who moved at that point off of Earth were, like, over it, and they're like, no, like, we're not gonna do this, you know.
It's fairly similar to what's happened to them in the past. I can't really blame them for that.
Yeah, like they're a little edgy for a reason, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's we're getting into Voyager shit, but it starts in TNG, the Maquis does, and then it continues through Deep Space Nine, and then it becomes like a groundwork in Voyager that they never do anything with.
Yeah, well, thank God.
Hey, I fucking hate the Maquis, but they had created a situation that would like have a lot of like really like there's a difference between bad interpersonal conflict and good interpersonal conflict.
Exactly.
Like people who have differing ideologies that are fighting for different things should have interpersonal conflict.
Right.
People who are on the same team shouldn't be like, well, I liked Becky before you and shit. That's bad interpersonal
It's
conflict.
a Kobayashi Maru of, like, diplomacy. Like, there's no winning. Like, you're not gonna win.
No, but I mean, like, the Voyager crew should have been at each other's throats, at least for a while. They should have disagreed way more often on ship. They just never did.
Every now and then, like, something will come up, but then, like, Chakotay, like, shuts that shit down.
Yeah.
He's like, no. It's like, okay.
And it's funny because they talk about him being, like, a Federation apologist and, like, an ass kisser.
Yeah.
And the show is like, he's definitely not, and here's why.
Right.
But you as an audience member is like, nah, he is.
Yeah, he got a sweet gig, and he's like, I want to lose this job.
Yeah, he's like, he understands that you have to band together in a bad situation or whatever.
Yeah.
But things could have gone the other way, and it could have been like a Maquis ship.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's
they're
like the
fucking
mirror
terrorists
universe version.
as well is the thing.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, they're not the Federation's finest. That's for sure.
They talk about like, he talks about like how it would be like dishonorable or whatever, but like, didn't you fucking blow up townships with people in it and shit?
Yeah, you like stole like bombs and made bombs.
Yeah,
and, like,
I mean,
killed people.
Whatever.
Hey, whatever.
But Deep Space Nine though. The cast of characters on Deep Space Nine, in this episode, I remember thinking the first time I watched it, like, a lot of these characters aren't really interesting the first time I saw it, but holy fuck did they fix that problem as the series goes along.
When you end the show, like, that last episode is hard to watch, because, like, these people really are like your friends, like at the end of the show.
Yeah, you've spent so much time with them and saw them grow so much as characters.
It's like a really sad ending to a show. Like not like the plot. Well, I mean, sort of the plot, but like you just don't want to lose these people. You're like, oh my god, I love these characters.
Yeah.
You know,
there's nobody in the show that I dislike at that point.
Yeah. Everyone's pretty great.
There is a period of time when Odo becomes really difficult to deal with as a viewer.
Yeah, he gets
even
a little
though
whiny.
He's my favorite character for most of the show. So it's rough to see him make that transition, but you understand why.
He course corrects. He gets better.
He does get better, but you understand why he goes through that.
Yeah,
as
Jake
well.
gets a little know-it-all-y.
But everybody comes back around.
Rom just gets better and better and better.
Yeah, Nog does too.
Nog does too, yeah.
By the end of the show, Nog is my favorite character in the show.
Yeah, he's great. Except for when that one episode on the Valiant when he gets a little brainwashed.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, Nog, no!
He's so fucking gung ho about being in
Red Squad.
And Jake's like, oh god, no.
Like, oh my god, these people are Nazis.
Give Deep Space Nine a shot. I can't say that so many times more. I can just say it forever.
Watch the entire show. Just watch the whole fucking show.
And you're gonna want to after a certain period of time too.
Yeah.
Like when fucking Cisco becomes captain.
When he gets to Defiant, it's like, oh yes.
Yeah, that the show becomes like 10 out of 10 from that point on.
It's like season 3, first episode.
So good.
They're like, oh wait, we need a cool, and it's a damn cool ship too. So you're like, oh sweet.
Well, I guess they realized at a certain point that like we may be exhausting all the things that can come to them.
Yeah, they really opened the doors though, like I don't know, like just on the what they could push, you know?
Because I mean, I compared it to Rawhide.
Yeah.
But, like, a show like that, like a cowboy show, is so many, like, and then this guy comes into town.
Right,
and then this problem shows up.
Right.
And there's only so much you can do with such a static area in a show that's mostly been about exploration up to that point. And I think turning it into a war story, which is what it really is.
It's like a World War II Star Trek. That's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's very World War II.
It's so good. And then they play baseball.
Yeah. Like in World War II.
Just like in World War II.
We are the members of the All-American League. Do you know I know a lady who played in the All-American Girls
Do
baseball?
you?
I know a lady.
Dude, I met two ladies from it. I met the Lady Madonna plays.
Okay, yeah. The
slut. Yes, the slut. I met her and the lady that like the main lady.
Oh, Dottie. I think her real name wasn't Dottie though. It was Dot or something.
Yeah, I met those two ladies because they came to my school to give like a speech.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know anyone from the movie. The lady comes in. They're twins. They both
no,
play.
I mean like the actual ladies, not the actresses.
Yeah, no, I know. You
Okay.
I know, yeah, but I don't know the ones that I know weren't they weren't in the movie. They were just on a different team or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think they played in like Wisconsin or some shit. I don't know.
Like I got to speak with him and I told him like, you know, I did the normal thing where I was like, yeah, your story was like really inspiring and like I've seen some like archival footage of you playing and stuff. You're like really amazing. And the lady that Madonna played was like, I did a lot more amazing stuff after that.
Okay.
And I was like, is she propositioning me? But
you should have seen what I could do with some testicles.
Whoa! I wasn't just playing with baseballs back then.
That's like basically her character in the movie is like, I want to suck a penis.
Pretty much. All the penises are at war.
Where am I going to get my penises from?
Oh, man. The whole time they were giving their speech, I just wanted somebody to say that there was no crying in baseball, but nobody did.
Yeah. Now they would. Now kids will.
Yeah, they wouldn't know that movie.
They're like, what?
There's no crying in baseball.
Gina Davis, though. Hoy. Oh, God.
Oh,
Gina
Davis.
It's that beauty mark. She's like 12 feet tall.
I'm 6'3", man.
That's really tall.
I'm half her height. I can handle it.
I'm 5'10".
That's a normal man height.
Yeah, it's pretty normal.
That's average height for a human male, actually.
Oh, I meant my dick is 5'10".
Oh, yeah, sure it is, buddy.
See you next week.
I mean, no, of course it's 5'10". You got a really big penis, everyone.
Everyone.
Look, if you want to talk to us on the Twitters, you can follow us at MClassPodcast, or you could follow our individual Twitters, and mine is @_Jeff Pennington.
Okay.
What's yours?
Mine is @Henderson1983. That's it.
No underscore, you bitch.
No, I'm an early adopter.
Yeah, dude, the dude who has the name Jeff Pennington has had it since Twitter started.
Yeah.
It's
The
fucked.
Josh Henderson from Dallas or whatever the fuck, dumb CW shit. He's got my name. So.
You mean ugly Josh Henderson?
Yeah, that piece of ugly shit.
Not handsome Josh Henderson?
He stuck his dick in Ashley Simpson, so like, whatever, dude. My life's going way better than yours.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck you if you listen to this show, you asshole.
I'm sure he does. He will
Give me my
eventually.
Twitter name. Give me my fucking Twitter name.
Dude, he will eventually listen to it, though, when he's like, there's somebody named Josh Henderson on a podcast?
He's gonna listen to this episode and know.
He's not gonna get 5 minutes into this fucking episode. He's gonna be like,
I don't think
Star
we're gonna
Trek.
get 5 minutes. Yeah.
Shut that shit down.
I was never on that show. I only do shows where boys kiss girls.
People, boys kiss girls on Star Trek.
Yeah, but like, every show he's ever been on has been like, how am I gonna kiss a boy today?
Does he say that?
I wish it would be a better show.
Boys kissing boys.
Like, you know, kissing shows, like teenage soap opera bullshit.
Boys kissing Trek boys.
Trek boys!
It had to happen once.
Yep.
If you want to have an email read on our other program, M-Class Emails, you can send us an email at mclassemails.
Email.
I think it's M-Class Emails. Fuck,
Is it?
I do this every time.
I don't think it is. I think it's. I
No.
looked it up today.
Josh is right again.
Yes!
It's called mclassemail@gmail.com. You send that shit there, we'll get it, and we'll answer it.
Yeah.
And you know what? On our next episode of this beautiful, beautiful program, we're going to be talking about Voyager's pilot episode, and I don't even remember the name of it, because fuck Voyager.
It's called, like, the name of the thing that sends them there.
The
Gatekeeper, the Keymaster.
Keymaster.
It's like that. It's like a name like that.
It's called
The Caretaker.
We found it on Google at the same moment, everyone.
I remembered it when I swear to God, I remembered it.
As part of our pilot series of episodes, we're going to be watching Voyager's first episode, Caretaker. So watch that before listening to this.
I can't wait till the one after that when we can watch some fucking Captain Archer.
Watch some sexy ass Scott Bakula action.
Scott Bakula saying he's gonna punch a Vulcan woman. That happens in the first episode.
He's such a Vulcan racist. He fucking
He is a little bit, but there's a good reason.
There's no good reason to be a racist.
Jeff, the Vulcan, you're gonna hate Enterprise because the Vulcans.
I know.
Not great.
I've seen enough of Enterprise to know that the Vulcans are like fucking almost villains, and it's.
But there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it.
I know that too. Actually,
You know
I've been
it-
spoiled on that.
All right. Okay.
Fucking spoilers, everybody! Don't just give them away in your podcast on the internet.
Yeah.
We would never do that.
No, never.
So tune in next time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.